let us talk about a profound paradox that completely runs counter to everything modern culture teaches us. We live in a world that is completely obsessed with a superficial definition of freedom. We are told that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. We are conditioned to believe that freedom is lying in bed all morning, eating whatever comfort food you crave, skipping your workouts when you feel tired, and escaping your responsibilities to scroll through high dopamine digital feeds. But let us be completely honest with each other. Where does that version of freedom actually lead you? It leads straight to financial stress, physical stagnation, a weak mind, and a crushing sense of personal regret. That is not freedom. That is an invisible, self-inflicted prison of weakness. True freedom, whether it is financial independence, physical capability, absolute control over your time or peace of mind, is never handed to you on a silver platter. It must be bought every single morning through one non-negotiable currency. We are diving deep into a massive, immersive storytelling breakdown of Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual by Jocko Willink. This video is designed to act as an unyielding behavioral, physical, and psychological audit. It is going to strip away every single excuse you have ever made, shatter your internal negotiations, and provide you with a raw, battle-tested framework to turn discipline into your ultimate superpower. Jocko Willink is a retired Navy SEAL commander who spent 20 years in the most intense combat environments on Earth, leading Task Unit Bruiser during the Battle of Ramadi. He discovered that the most elite, agile, and successful teams were not the ones who operated with loose rules and complete casualness. They were the ones who executed every single detail of their lives with absolute structural precision. He realized that the more discipline you have in your systems, your habits, and your mindset, the more true freedom you unlock in reality. Get incredibly comfortable. Eliminate all outside notifications. Grab your field journal, and let us discover how to master the code of absolute personal responsibility so you can permanently exit the matrix of comfort and claim total dominion over your life. Part 1. The absolute truth of the unyielding paradox. Let us begin our narrative by confronting the core psychological foundation of this entire philosophy. Jocko introduces an unyielding premise that serves as the ultimate boundary line between winners and everyone else. He states that discipline is not a restriction on your life. Discipline is the singular engine of your liberation. Imagine two distinct paths a human life can take. On the first path, you have the mindset of the general population. Most people are governed entirely by how they feel in any given moment. If they wake up and feel tired, they stay in bed. If a project feels difficult, they put it off until tomorrow. They view discipline as an annoying chore, a boring rule, or a structural weight that takes away their happiness. They run toward short-term pleasure, assuming it will lead to long-term satisfaction. On the second path, you have the sovereign performer. This individual understands that short-term comfort is a dangerous lie. They realize that when you surrender to your immediate desires, you become a slave to your impulses. If you lack the discipline to control your spending, you lose financial freedom. If you lack the discipline to control your disciplinous nutrition, you lose physical freedom. If you lack the discipline to manage your time, you lose your life. The self-made champion completely embraces the paradox. They understand that by imposing strict rules, rigorous schedules, and high standards upon themselves today, they manufacture absolute freedom for tomorrow. They do not wait for motivation to strike, because motivation is a fleeting emotion that deserts you when things get cold, dark, and difficult. They rely entirely on an unshakable devotion to execution. By taking total responsibility for their daily actions and rejecting all external excuses, they strip the world of its power to hold them back. Part 2. Shattering the morning alarm and the battle for momentum. Now that we understand the framework of the paradox, let us look at the exact coordinate in time where your daily victory is either won or lost. Jocko explains that the ultimate microcosm of your entire life happens at exactly 4:45 in the morning, the precise moment your alarm clock goes off. Most people start their day by engaging in an internal negotiation with a machine. The alarm sounds, and their primitive mind instantly begins manufacturing highly rationalized excuses. It whispers that they need more rest, that they had a long day yesterday, or that they can just make up the work later in the evening. They reach out their hand, hit the snooze button, and surrender their focus back to comfort. Jocko warns that hitting the snooze button is the ultimate act of self-defeat. The moment you press that button, you have formally declared to your subconscious mind that your immediate comfort is vastly more important than the grand dreams and goals you committed to the night before. You start your entire day from a defensive frame of failure, weakness, and surrender. To claim absolute sovereignty, you must treat the morning alarm as a non-negotiable tactical command. The moment the clock strikes 4:45, there is zero room for thought, zero room for debate, and zero room for hesitation. You do not think about how tired you are. You physically force your feet to hit the cold floor. By leaping out of bed before your brain can even formulate its first excuse, you win the very first battle of the day. You capture immediate physical and psychological momentum while the rest of the world is still sleeping, wrapped in the illusion of comfort. You are already moving, sweating, reading, and executing. This early victory calluses your mind, providing you with a psychological edge that carries you through the afternoon slumps with absolute certainty and unstoppable power. Part 3. The dictatorship of action over the malady of overthinking. Let us move deeper into our story to look at a silent mental disease that keeps millions of brilliant people permanently trapped in mediocrity. The trap of overthinking, overanalyzing, and waiting for perfect conditions. Jocko terms this the paralysis of analysis. The general population loves to build massive, intricate plans. They spend weeks researching the perfect gym routine, months outlining the ultimate business strategy, or years waiting for the ideal financial climate. To start investing, they tell themselves they are being smart, responsible, and thorough. But Jocko pulls back the curtain to expose the harsh reality. This endless preparation is often just a highly sophisticated, cowardly form of procrastination. The market does not reward your internal plans, your good intentions, or your beautiful ideas. The market only rewards brutal, real-world execution. A flawed plan executed with absolute speed, aggressive intent, and relentless consistency will completely destroy a perfect plan that stays sitting on a whiteboard forever. To break out of this cognitive trap, you must establish an absolute dictatorship of action inside your mind. When you know what needs to be done, whether it is making a sales call, publishing a video, hitting a heavy lift, or cutting out a bad habit, you must cut off your analytical brain completely. Stop looking for more data, stop asking for external validation, and stop waiting for an emotional surge of inspiration. Implement what Jocko calls the default mode of action. If you are caught in a moment of doubt, move forward. If you are unsure of the next step, take a step anyway. Movement generates data, movement creates clarity, and movement builds an authentic motivation that overthinking can never replicate. You must learn to love the raw, unpolished nature of getting started today, recognizing that mastery is synthesized entirely through the chaotic fires of direct experience. Part 4. Building a physical sanctuary of elite resilience. To sustain this relentless level of tactical execution, your physical body cannot be an uncalibrated, soft vessel of convenience. It must be forged into a resilient, high-performance biological machine, capable of enduring immense physical stress and output. Jocko details a minimalist, high-intensity blueprint for physical readiness that forms the core armor of his daily discipline. Most people approach fitness from a perspective of vanity or superficial aesthetics. They go to the gym to look good in a mirror, focusing entirely on isolated, low-impact movements that do not translate into real-world capability. When workouts get uncomfortable or painful, they lower the intensity or skip the session entirely, assuming that fitness should always feel safe and comfortable. The field Manual completely rejects this soft approach to health. Jocko argues that physical fitness is your absolute defensive perimeter against life's unpredictable emergencies. Your training must be functional, intense, and systematically designed to test your mental limits. The blueprint revolves around 4 foundational compound movements that mimic human survival mechanics: pull-ups, push-ups, squats, and deadlifts. These exercises do not just build muscle, they build full-body structural integrity, explosive power, and raw stamina. You do not need a complex luxury gym membership or a mountain of expensive equipment to cultivate resilience. You need a floor, a pull-up bar, a heavy weight, and an absolute refusal to quit when your lungs are burning and your muscles are screaming for rest. Alongside resistance training, you must integrate regular periods of intense metabolic conditioning and martial arts training, specifically Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Jocko explains that martial arts train you to remain perfectly calm, logical, and dangerous while experiencing extreme physical pressure, panic, and disadvantage. By pushing your physical frame to its absolute limits every single morning, you burn away your internal weaknesses, lower your biological stress thresholds, and build a physical sanctuary of health that allows your mind to operate with absolute clarity and unmatched power. Part 5. The Strategic Protocol for Surviving Failure and Injury. What happens when your momentum crashes into an unexpected, immovable wall? What do you do when you experience a massive financial collapse, a heartbreaking personal betrayal, or a severe physical injury that completely halts your ability to train and execute? This is the exact dark coordinates where the vast majority of people surrender to depression, self-pity, and chronic laziness. Jocko introduces a legendary psychological protocol that allows elite performers to alchemize absolute disaster into a profound competitive advantage. This protocol is encapsulated in one single, definitive word: good. Imagine you are leading a business team and your primary product launch completely fails in the market. The average leader will enter a panic state, looking for someone to blame or sinking into despair. But the disciplined leader looks at the disaster and says calmly, "Good. Now we have an incredible opportunity to completely redesign our architecture from scratch, learn from our operational mistakes, and build a product that is 10 times more resilient." If you sustain a severe knee injury that stops you from running or lifting heavy weights, your response must be identical. Good. Now I can focus all of my physical energy on building my upper body strength, mastering my mobility work, and spending my extra time reading books to upgrade my cognitive capacity. This is not shallow, toxic positivity or empty optimism. It is a calculated, high-status refusal to waste a single ounce of your limited emotional energy on things you cannot control. When you respond to failure with the word good, you instantly shift your brain out of a defensive victim mode and back into an aggressive problem-solving frame. You realize that every obstacle is a custom-engineered test designed to make you smarter, tougher, and more resourceful. You turn your setbacks into the exact fuel required to power your next massive victory. Part 6. The complete architecture of clean, functional nutrition. To keep this high-performance engine running at maximum velocity, you must completely re-engineer what you feed your biological system. The general population views nutrition through a lens of emotional entitlement, pleasure, and immediate gratification. They treat food as a reward for a hard day, an entertainment source, or a quick coping mechanism for boredom and stress. They flood their bodies with processed sugars, simple carbohydrates, and artificial chemicals that cause rapid insulin spikes, chronic internal inflammation, and devastating brain fog. Jocko cuts through the multi-billion-dollar noise of the diet industry with a cold, minimalist approach anchored directly in evolutionary biology. He reminds us that our human bodies evolved over millions of years on a simple, clean, non-industrial diet consisting entirely of meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, fruit, and nuts. Our systems are not designed to process the engineered chemical concoctions that pack the shelves of modern grocery stores. To claim absolute physical sovereignty, you must treat your nutrition not as a source of emotional entertainment, but as a pure tactical fuel source for your mission. Eliminate all refined sugars, processed grains, and empty carbohydrates from your environment completely. Stop negotiating with your cravings and realize that every piece of junk food you consume actively diminishes your cognitive focus, drains your willpower battery, and degrades your structural health. Jocko advocates for the strict implementation of regular fasting protocols, including 24-hour, 48-hour, and 72-hour water fasts. Fasting is not a health fad. It is an incredible tool to reset your biological system, clear out cellular waste through autophagy, and re-establish absolute psychological control over your primitive appetite. When you have the unshakable discipline to control what enters your mouth, you eliminate the constant energy crashes that plague the average professional, unlocking a sustained, crystal-clear focus that allows you to outwork your competition for days on end. Part 7. The strategic law of detachment and social command. As we move toward the pinnacle of personal sovereignty, we must transition from the physical domain into the high-stakes world of interpersonal dynamics and strategic control. Jocko explains that true discipline is not just about forcing your own body to move. It is about maintaining absolute emotional composure and situational awareness when everyone around you is losing their minds. He introduces a core combat leadership law known as the law of detachment. Imagine you are in the middle of a high-intensity firefight. Bullets are flying. Explosions are happening. Your radio is screaming with conflicting data, and your team members are panicking. If you allow yourself to get emotionally sucked into that chaos, your field of vision narrows to a tiny point. Your prefrontal cortex shuts down, and you will make a reactive decision that gets your entire team killed. The elite commander trains themselves to mentally and physically step back from the immediate chaos. They take a deep breath, lift their chin up, look at the big picture, and dispassionately analyze the objective facts of the situation. By detaching emotionally, they see the real problem clearly, bypass the noise, and issue a calm, precise command that completely wins the engagement. You must apply this exact law of detachment to your everyday corporate and personal life. When a colleague criticizes your work, when a client screams at you over a mistake, or when an unexpected financial crisis hits your desk, your natural primitive instinct is to lash out, defensively, argue, or enter a state of panic. But a disciplined professional views emotional reactivity as an absolute sign of weakness and low status. Take a tactical step back from the situation. Observe the emotional storm without becoming a part of it. Realize that your opponent's anger or panic is a data point, nothing more. By maintaining an unshakable, calm, and hyper-logical presence in the face of chaos, you command the psychological high ground of the room. You gain the unfair advantage to make calculated, high-impact moves that protect your interests, disarm your critics, and project an absolute, unshakable aura of true authority and leadership. Part 8. Integrating the Field Manual for Absolute Personal Liberty as our epic storytelling journey through the uncompromising wisdom of Jocko Willink reaches its ultimate destination. Let us step back and look at the entire architectural map of your newly engineered life. Remember this final, unshakable truth. Discipline is not a temporary boot camp you endure for a few weeks to hit a short-term goal. It is an unyielding, lifelong martial art of self-creation that honors your highest potential on earth. Stop allowing the modern matrix of comfort, convenience, and soft excuses to dictate your boundaries. Stop listening to the weak internal negotiations of your primitive brain and permanently delete the word tomorrow from your vocabulary. Step into your authentic personal sovereignty today. Wake up at 4:45 in the morning without a single second of hesitation or thought. Impose a strict default mode of action over your overthinking brain and execute your goals with an aggressive velocity that leaves no room for doubt. Forge your physical body into a high-performance sanctuary of resilience through compound movements and clean, primitive nutrition. Look at every disaster, injury, and failure dead in the eye and declare the word good, alchemizing your setbacks into strategic fuel for your ultimate evolution. When you develop the unshakable courage To master the law of detachment, take absolute, personal responsibility for every failure in your life, and align your daily habits with structural precision. You permanently break the hidden chains of mediocrity. The illusions of confusion, self-doubt, and social anxiety will fall away entirely from your presence. You will command absolute clarity over your destiny. Build massive assets that secure your bloodline for generations. Protect your valuable attention from the parasites of modern distraction, and discover that you have transformed your existence into a magnificent, unyielding monument of relentless momentum, total independence, and lasting, meaningful global impact. What is the #1 tactical discipline from this complete field manual? Whether it is committing to the 4:45 morning wake-up call without negotiation, applying the word good to your current biggest life struggle, or eliminating processed junk from your fuel system, that you are going to commit to practicing in your life today. Let me know your discipline and momentum goals in the comments down below. If this deep dive storytelling summary completely restructured your mental frameworks and handed you a definitive architectural playbook for absolute personal freedom, show some incredible support by clicking that like button. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another profound performance, leadership, or high status mindset book breakdown, and share this video with a friend or colleague who needs to level up their efficiency today. Execute the plan, reject the excuses, embrace the paradox, and I will see you in the next video.